Cool. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah, and I'm a PhD student. Now, that means I live in a strange and isolated little world of coffee, graphs, and missed deadlines. I'm quite used to people not really being interested in my research. So I look at the way that people interact with devices, and specifically the way that people enter numbers on devices, which is research that only really a mother could love, I find. But the other day, someone from the actual real world was interested in my research. Seriously, the actual real world, someone wanted to know something about me. I'll tell you the story, right? So I was out of the office, and I got a text from my supervisor. And this text simply said, "Sarah, have you been talking to the press?" Yeah, that is pretty ominous, isn't it? That's a pretty ominous text to receive from your supervisor. Oh, God. But it turns out that my work phone had been ringing because a journalist wanted to speak to me. Now, rather than wanting to hear about my sleazy kiss and tell story with Brian Cox, she wanted to know about my research, which, if you ask me, is the more shocking story, probably. So anyway, after a phone call with this journalist, a few weeks later, this appeared in a national newspaper. Check that out. That's my name. Oh, yeah, I'm famous now. And what's more, no longer was I a lowly PhD student. Oh, no, I'm a scientist now. And you know what? I'm not just any type of scientist. Oh, no, I'm a Daily Mail accredited scientist. Nothing gets better than this. The thing is, right, the quote was this: "Customers who make mistakes are not idiots." Oh, that's nice and zingy, isn't it? And in idiots, yeah, one of our more formal terms that we use in the field. But anyway, this has given me a new life aim, right? I now am striving to have the Sun quote me and refer to me as a boffin. Then I'll know I've made it. So from this, right, you can guess, I'm interested in errors and the way people make mistakes. And this type of research can actually make me quite a bad friend. The other day, for instance, a few months ago, my friend, he broke up with his girlfriend. It's, the normal story. She had gone out one night, got wasted, got drunk, and then slept with someone else. But he really wasn't taking it very well, right? He was like, "Oh, but she said she made a mistake. Oh, she might not do it again." And obviously, as a good friend, I was like, "No, that's ridiculous. Because what she's done there is classify a slip error as a mistake." Okay, and if she's capable of making errors with error terminology, who knows what else she might do? Yeah, well, it didn't go down too well. It really didn't. I'm going to help you guys be as good a friend as I am, though, and I'm going to tell you what the difference is between a slip and a mistake. So a slip error is what happens where you know what you're meant to do, but for some reason you make an error when you're executing the action. So the classic one is the Freudian slip. So, when you think of one thing, but you say your mother. Come on, guys, that's a really good joke. Thank you. Okay, so that's a slip error. A mistake is what happens where you execute the action perfectly well, but the plan at the beginning was wrong. So an example of that is where you think it's appropriate to lecture your friend on error terminology when he's going through serious emotional trauma. Yeah. So let's look at some examples of error that I study. Now, I've got a question for you. What does medical error data and bar charts have in common? The answer is, I'm about to make a joke using both of them. Get excited, people, get excited. Right, okay, so the following charts that I'm about to show you were taken from a British medical journal paper on data entry in the NHS. I told you this was exciting, didn't I? Okay, so I'm going to show you a chart that tells you the ages of the people of a subset of patients who were administered to geriatric care between the years of 2003 and 2009. The ages of the people in this. Okay, just take a look. No one over the age of 19 admitted to geriatric care. That's not right. That's definitely not right. Okay, and it happens at the other end of the scale as well. Okay, so this is a graph that I'm about to show you of people being admitted to adolescent and child psychiatric care. Again, not the age ranges I'm expecting. And I mean, I know some immature people, let me tell you, but none of them are so immature that medically speaking, the NHS will treat them as children. So either this means this is an example of some data entry, or, which I think is more likely, this is proof that Benjamin Button syndrome exists. I found it. You heard it here first, okay? I've got the proof. And it's not just ages that are being entered in wrongly, okay? It's genders too. The following graph shows you how many men were pregnant between 2003 and 2009. The stats mean we probably should know at least one of them in this room, and I don't think any one of us does. Now, again, is this an example of error, or this type of film being a likely thing? Now, it's not just me. I can tell you've seen the pattern too. Hollywood are using the NHS to get all of their new ideas. I can see this is the case. Which means that I am predicting this year's Christmas blockbuster being this: The Grinch That Stole the NHS. Now, I know he's no longer in charge of health, but his face is funnier when you superimpose it on a dog. And no one wants to see Jeremy Hunt's face. So that's another reason. And I think you can tell from this that if the PhD doesn't work out, I'm pretty much definitely going to become a graphic designer. Okay, so those errors were all pretty funny, and hopefully no one got hurt. But the thing is, sometimes these errors, they happen in the medical domain, and patients can incur serious consequences from it. It can really harm patients. And so that means that in my lab, we're trying to learn more about the errors. And if we can learn more about the errors, then hopefully we can design some solutions and some systems that will stop these errors from happening in the future. So error research is quite difficult, right? If you do it in the lab, there are two reasons that it can go wrong. It's not very good to do error research in the lab. So for a start, okay, it's quite difficult designing experiments that run in a lab that are easily generalizable and ecologically valid so that you can apply the results to the real world. So it's a real scientific problem there. And secondly, it just makes you a really bad person, right? Because your job ends up being sitting in a room wanting people to fail. And that's just not good for the soul. It really isn't, okay? But luckily, there are other ways that we can find out about error. So one of the ways that we're looking at it is getting error from the real world. Like, we're all fallible, we all make mistakes, and we all make slips. And so we might as well just collect them up. And the way that we're doing that is instead of, we're using Twitter, right? And instead of asking people to just simply tweet Instagram images of their lunch, we're asking people to, when they make an error, tweet about it, and then simply add the tag error diary. It's pretty simple. It's really easy. And then when you do this, our website, errordiary.org, will collect all of these instances together, and then we have this massive, brilliant database of real-life error that we, as researchers, can look at and analyse and pore over and get really interesting data from. And also, it's really funny to look at people doing stuff wrong. That's just another reason we like to do it. Okay, so let me tell you about my favourite error that we collect on Error Diary, okay? Yeah, that's right, I got a favourite. That's how cool I am. So this one, it's really subtle. This is why I like it, okay? We collect instances of Error Diary. We also collect instances of Error Dairy. Okay, so either cows have started tweeting about mistakes in the workplace, right? Or this is a hilarious meta error about error. Ah, that's exciting, isn't it? That's exciting for everyone. Okay, no, we do serious stuff as well. Let me tell you, okay, there's something you can learn from Error Diary. Okay, I am going to tell you now, next time you make coffee, be careful. That's not a threat, I'm just telling you. This is the main topic that comes up on Error Diary. Seriously, we get loads, and we get flipping loads of them everywhere. It's a minefield of error. It's absolute disaster area, okay? We get people making omission errors where they forget to put the coffee in the pot at the beginning, repetition errors where they add two cups of sugar. Yeah, that's an error as well. That's too much. Associative action errors where they pour orange juice in instead of milk. It's just, there's so many errors happening, right? So if next time you're at work and you're making some coffee, don't be surprised if you see me in the corner making some notes, because it means you're in an experiment and you're about to make an error. Okay, I'll just tell you a few things that we learned from Error Diary. So one, we need to hook academics up with a permanent caffeine drip to avoid certain catastrophe, because that's not healthy, that's not good. And two, cows need to stop tweeting at the workplace because it's causing errors, and that's no good. Right, I'm just going to leave you with one more thing before I go, and that's a request. So I want to say the next time you make an error, you make a really stupid, embarrassing, wish no one had seen it error, tweet about it, okay? And then we can collect it and all have a really, really good laugh at your expense. And also for like science or something, I don't know. Okay, thank you everybody.